Hello and welcome to another Wrightly Witterings with me, the tea drinking author who's got a cup of mint and fennel tea. Mainly because I've got a streaming cold, so I'll apologise in advance. All the way through this video you're likely to get little jerks as I cut out the sound of a sniff or a cough or a sneeze, because there's lots of them. But I'm fine, I'm not unwell. I have in my hands here a box which I showed you some time ago when I was in Derbyshire doing research for a book. And this Mystery Ink goodie bag, was fascinating because it suddenly materialised. I ordered it. It cost me £10, I think it was 10, and I ordered it from Cult Pens just to see what was inside it. So let's go and have a look. So here we are. This is the contents of the goodie bag, apart from that pen. So what was there? There was some essential stuff for me. Luxury professional ink remover from your hands. That I know is going to be useful. May well be useful today. I got some Winsor & Newton sketching ink in vermilion, which is quite an interesting concept. I like the idea of sketching inks. Let's have a look and see what the bottle's like. A pleasant little bottle. Doesn't exactly provide you with a huge amount of ink, I don't think. 14 mils. Well, interesting to have a look at. There's some black ink from Kaweco. Well, I don't really use black very often, so I'm not overly excited by that. There's Colourverse Mini, and this is JFK's dog Pushinka. I didn't know JFK had a dog, let alone one called Pushinka. An interesting name and an interesting box to try to get into. There, I think, is the actual opening, but I think I'll just get a penknife out to open this. It'll make life a lot easier, as long as I don't cut my hand off or anything stupid like that. I've seen a few of these Colourverse inks, and they're always quite interesting. This, I have to admit, doesn't fill me with enthusiasm. It looks like a bit of a dull brownish grey, which, okay, I mean, some people may like it. One thing I do like about Korean inks is they always seem to provide you with these little pipettes. I didn't realise Colourverse were going to do that as well, but that's certainly what I've noticed with all the dominant ink type of ink bottles. They all come with their own little pipette. An interesting shaped bottle too. It's sort of like a snail. But at least I have a means of filling a pen with it. That's quite useful. That could be good. They also sent me through a little swatch paper so I can see what ink looks like on a single sheet of paper, which is not a huge amount of help really. It's basically a marketing ploy from their point of view to persuade you to buy loads more. And then some pages from a little ink pad, notebook pad, which is handy, but yeah, not a huge amount of use. They also sent me Diamond Inkvent Red Edition, All the Best, and Blue Edition, Gold Star. When you look at the back, you can see that Gold Star is definitely an ink with a lot of particles in it, so it will shimmer and look beautiful. The All the Best is, brief pause there while I sneezed. The All the Best is, I don't know what it is actually. I don't know what colour it is or anything. I think it's a blue, but I'm not absolutely certain. It looks more of a purple from here, so that could be interesting. And then the final little packet from Cult Pens on this little magical collection of things is in here. And of course I can't get into the plastic bag. I couldn't fight my way out of a paper bag, and I can't get into a plastic bag. This is hopeless. I am useless. I am no good. I am lucky I've got in. And in this little selection, we've got Octopus Fluids, Write and Draw Ink, Pink Gazelle. Interesting. We have Cult Pens exclusive Jacques Herbin, Rivière de la Lune. And we have some Cult Pens Robert Oyster, Devon Green. Now, I've used the Devon Green. I've been using it in a fine nib, which obviously isn't much help when we're trying to show things to people. Let me just finish off here. I've also got some Chichen Itza and Christ the Redeemer. Christ the Redeemer is a sort of pale fawnish brown. Chichen Itza is a sort of very light coloured teal, I guess is the best description. Those two are going to be easy. Now, if you've been watching my videos, you will know that what I tend to do is write everything up in a notebook here. And what I do is I use this pen, which is a TWSBI Go. And it has two big advantages for testing inks. One is it's got a 1.1mm stub nib, which gives a good sized, going to lose all of these inks in a minute, a good sized line so you can see whether there's any shading, you can see whether there's any shimmering, you can see if there's any sheen much more clearly because of that fat nib. It puts down a lot of ink and therefore makes life a great deal easier. In addition, for me as a tester, it's really quick and easy to use because you dunk it in your ink, you press the plunger, you release the plunger, and it sucks a load of ink in. Nothing could be easier. And then in between each ink, I will flush it 4 or 5 times in plain water, and so it's fully cleaned. It is a brilliant device for testing inks. Unless you get inks in a little bottle like these, in which case you can't get the ink into the pen. So I think that reluctantly this time, when reviewing these inks, I'm going to have to use a dip pen. Why reluctantly? Because a dip pen puts down a lot more ink than even a TWSBI 1.1, and so it's not as accurate in terms of representing what the ink looks like coming out of a pen. The only other alternative I've got is to move to something like this, my Visconti, which allows me to simply fill the cartridge converter using a syringe or a pipette, and then that will allow me to show off the ink as well. Being a Visconti, it does put down a fairly thick line of ink, and I think that is what I'm going to have to do. So TWSBI, you're retired for the moment. And now, which ink shall I first use? I think I'm going to go for Christ the Redeemer. This was not one of the freebies that came with everything else from Cult Pens. It's a standard ink. Well, I say standard. It's a diamine ink, but it's from Cult Pens only. So let's have a look and see what it looks like. There we go. I thought it was going to be more of a brownish colour. Clearly got that completely wrong, because this is a very grey colour indeed. I don't know if that's because I didn't shake the bottle beforehand. It's a very pleasant, it's almost a greenish tinge to it in fact. But as it dries to a sort of greenish overtone rather than the red, but it's quite a warm looking colour. Yes. As you can see, shaking the bottle makes no difference whatsoever. The only reason why I did that was because some time ago I reviewed some blue black from Noodler's inks, which was beautiful, but not at all blue black when I first used it. And it was only after I'd been advised that you need to shake Noodler's inks that I actually got a decent colour out of it, which was most peculiar. So now I know that occasionally I need to shake the bottle before using it. Even so, that is a very pleasant ink, which will no doubt get used. And there we go with another sneeze. So there you have it. One interesting selection of inks from dear old Cult Pens. Rather fascinating variety. The Devon Green I like. No real shading as I've tested it in a fine pen. That was a series of about 10 sneezes. Well, there you have it. I have now had a nice look through that box. I have demonstrated the first of the inks. I've tested the green as well in the past, but it's in a pen with a fine nib. So I'm not going to show that because it needs a fatter nib to show it off properly. And I've now sneezed, I think, 12 times. This is getting tedious. So I'm going to run away now. I'm going to go and get another cup of hot fennel and mint tea. I'm going to get some lunch and I'm going to hope that this flaming cold disappears soon. Another sneeze. Colds in the summer. It's beautiful sunny weather out there. I'm stuck indoors because as soon as I've finished editing this video, I then have to get back to editing the latest book. And I'm stuck inside when really what I ought to be doing is going and sitting outside with a nice book to read. Hey ho. So without further ado, I will leave you in peace, and here's some more pictures of puppies. I know you like them, so you can have a view of some more. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much to all my Patreons. If you'd like to help support the YouTube channel, then you can go to the link below. There is a link for Patreon. There's a link for Buy Me a Coffee. There's Super Thanks, all those good things. But if you don't care to do such things, that's fine. But I'd be grateful if you'd like and subscribe, because they drive the video up Google and YouTube's algorithms. But apart from that, thanks a lot for watching, and here's some puppies.